So when should you end the cut? Whether you're a skinny fat guy, whether you just came off a bulk, when should you end the cut? This is an extremely valuable video because if you haven't been lifting for like decades, it's very important that you get this right because you don't want to miss out on a ton of potential progress you could be making in the gym. So firstly, let's recognize why this is even an important topic. So a lot of people, so this is my physique here on the right. A lot of people think that they're just going to cut and eventually they're going to get this physique. Guys, I want you to understand the 2 points I put here. Muscle equals health and aesthetics, and muscle raises your maintenance calories. So, first point, muscle equals health and aesthetics. I look this way not because I just have a low body fat percentage in this picture, but because I've been lifting for 4 years, about 3 years actually in this picture, and I've put on a good amount of muscle. I put on like 30 pounds of muscle in my 3.5 years of training. And this is very important because this is what allows me to look good and look aesthetic at a low body fat percentage. Plus, this is also with a pump under good lighting. I still want to continue to grow and get better so that even under bad lighting, I still look amazing, right? I plan on lifting for decades and decades and decades and continuing to improve my physique. But one of the things that I got wrong early on was thinking that just losing body fat was going to get me my dream physique. But really, you need to lift for years and then have a low body fat percentage for you to really look your best. So you'll still look a lot better than you do now if you get down to 10% body fat, but you're not going to look like this unless you've been lifting for a few years at least. And the second point I say here is muscle raises your maintenance calories. So if the end goal, let's say, is you're an adult, you have a super aesthetic physique, you're strong, you're healthy, and you can basically eat whatever you want, that's going to come from a lot of muscle, right? Because think about it, if you want to eat whatever you want, you're going to have a relatively high amount of maintenance calories, and that's going to come from having a lot of muscle on you because muscle burns more calories at rest than body fat. And if we look at this picture, right, so this is me the same height, basically the same weight. I'm a physically bigger human in this picture. I'm a little bit heavier. But whose total daily energy expenditure do you think is higher? Meaning whose maintenance calories is higher? Taking out exercise, because obviously here I work out and here I don't. Taking out exercise, let's say we both just played video games all day, we both sat at the couch. This version of me on the right actually has a higher total daily energy expenditure due to the amount of muscle I have. Understand that. So basically what I'm saying is that me here in this dude could eat the same amount of food, or actually I could eat more food than this dude here and maintain this physique while this dude continues to look fat. And this is me like in 2020, this was me a few months ago. So it's important to note that muscle is extremely important for having a good physique and being able to sustain it, not be able to, have this physique, but I'm eating 2,000, 1,800 calories a day, right? That would be miserable. Second thing, when should we actually end the cut? Or actually, third thing, when should we end the cut? So ideally 10 to 15% body fat, but I put these 3 pictures here, or these 4 pictures here, very intentionally. So if you see me on the far left here, so these 3 pictures actually, these 4 pictures represent the 3 times that I've ended the cut. So these 2 pictures in 2022 were when I ended my first ever cut. In 2023, my second ever cut. In 2025, a few months ago, my third ever cut. In 2022, this is extremely important to note. Look at how I looked under bad lighting here in 2022. I thought, and for context, this was also me with a pump in the gym. So lighting can be deceiving. But in 2022, I thought that I just had to keep cutting, even though I was 147 pounds, in order to get the physique I have now. When this is actually me at 173 pounds on the far right. So it actually took multiple years. It took 3 years in between these pictures to build enough muscle to look good and aesthetic at a low body fat percentage. Because in all 3 of these pictures, I'm probably the same body fat percentage. But this is what changing your muscle mass actually looks like over time. Your dream physique is not under the body fat. Like I was just saying, this was me at 147 pounds thinking I had to cut to get the physique I have now. So basically, my whole point in telling you guys this, I'm going to get into how to actually cut in a minute, or how to actually end your cut in a minute in the lean bulking phase you can get into it. But I really want you to understand that if you haven't been lifting for, let's say, at least 4 years, I recommend you lift for at least 5 years before you just stop focusing on building and just maintain your physique. If you have not been lifting for at least 4 years, it is going to be very, very hard for you to maintain a very lean and aesthetic physique long term. However, if you spend 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 years building a ton of muscle, it's going to be substantially easier for you to maintain that physique because you're going to have so much more muscle, which means you're going to look better at a higher body fat percentage, meaning you don't necessarily have to get down to 9% body fat every single time you want to look aesthetic. You may look better at 12% body fat if you have an extra 15 pounds of muscle. So the point I'm trying to tell you guys is muscle is extremely important, and I highly recommend, you can go on a few cuts here and there just so you can shed the body fat and, look good and stay healthy as you continue, as you proceed along these early years in your lifting journey. But keep the long-term vision in mind. Keep the long-term vision, you want to spend decades and decades and decades maintaining a lean and aesthetic physique. And in order to do that easily and seamlessly, it's going to come from having a ton of muscle. So my advice is basically what I just said. Don't focus on cutting and then maintaining if you haven't been lifting for a while. Unless you cut and you look in the mirror and you're super satisfied with your physique, cool. Do whatever you want by all means. I personally like maintaining a low body fat percentage while having an aesthetic physique, while doing it, eating basically whatever I want, right? Just kind of focusing on the calories, not really focusing too much on eating the most healthy foods, but just basically sticking to my calories, sticking to my protein, and making sure I hit that every single day. And if I eat healthy just to feel good, cool, that's fine. But I really like maintaining a low body fat. But I know that if I spend these next 3 years just dedicating myself in the gym and going on a lean bulking phase where, I'm going to gain a bit of body fat. I'm not going to look as ripped as I do in this picture 24/7, 365. But as long as I focus on the long-term vision, I'm going to have such an easier time. My future self will thank me for these years and years I not only put into the gym, but also I took having to take a step back and say, okay, I'm going to sacrifice looking my absolute best and looking absolutely shredded year round just so I can put on a bit more muscle. Because when you're 9 to 10% body fat, it's a lot harder to maintain that and put on a ton of muscle or really optimize for muscle growth. It's easier to eat in a bit of a calorie surplus where you slowly gain a bit of muscle, slowly gain a bit of body fat over time, and then you can cut that body fat off in 3 to 5 months and maintain all the muscle that you gained in the journey. So how you should actually end the cut. This is what I've done in the past. This is what I did recently. Start eating at maintenance calories within a month of ending the cut, right? You can go on a reverse diet. That's typically what I do. Not necessarily because I'm a lot of people think reverse dieting fixes your metabolism. Anytime you hear someone say you broke your metabolism, they're full of crap. They don't know what they're talking about. The reason I typically reverse diet is, one, I don't want to accidentally overshoot my maintenance and gain a bunch of body fat that I just worked so hard to lose. And secondly, you get pretty bloated when you just go from a deficit to eating straight at maintenance, right? So I like to take 3 to 5 weeks to really just incrementally increase my calories. So on my last cut, I was eating about 2,200 calories a day. And for the first 2 weeks of reverse dieting, I guess, I was eating 2,400, 2,500 calories a day. And for context, my maintenance is about 2,800 calories a day. So basically, 2 weeks, 2,400, the next 2 weeks, 2,500. And then after that, I was just I can go back up to maintenance now. So that's basically what I did. And since then, I put myself in a 1 to 200 calorie surplus. I'm gaining about 2 to 3 pounds a month, and that's good. And I at least recommend you guys do this for at least 8 months, right? Put on a good 16 to 24 pounds, especially if you're new, especially if you haven't been lifting for a while. At least 10 of those pounds or 15 of those pounds, if you're pretty new, is going to be muscle. I remember in my first year, if I go back to these pictures, you can see this was me at 147 pounds when I ended the cut. And this was me also ending the cut. So this was March of 2022. This was me in September of 2023. So about a year and a half. Yeah, a year and 5 months. This was me at 167 pounds. So this is a 20-pound difference at the same body fat percentage, essentially. Very powerful. And this is me at 173 pounds, right? So it's very, very important to focus on muscle growth long term. And then if you've been lifting for like 5, 6, 7 years and you're like, okay, I want to take a step back, I don't want to have to keep going through these bulks cuts. Once I cut and once I get lean at 10% body fat, I have enough muscle where it's easy to it's basically easy to maintain because my maintenance calories is high enough and I still feel strong and I have an aesthetic physique and everything's good. That's the long-term vision. That's what I recommend for you guys, but at the end of the day, do whatever you want. Obviously, I'm not over here getting fat and promoting dirty bulking. I've gone on a dirty bulk before and it was absolutely miserable, so you don't have to do that. And the muscle I gained in the process was really minimal just because my body fat was so high and it just wasn't a good thing. But I know how to lean bulk properly because I've done it in the past. I'm doing it now and everything is going quite good. So if you guys want one-on-one help with this, like you want to work with me one-on-one, feel free to book a call with me in the description below. If you go on my Instagram, you can actually see a bunch of my client transformations. They've actually seen fantastic results. I actually want to show you real quick. I want to show you one of my new clients who I started working with at the end of May, and for context, it is midway through July right now. So I started working with him at the end of May, and I just ended his fat loss phase because he lost about 15 pounds. So this is Aiden, right? So this was him when he started working with me. This is him now. And here's the thing. We could continue cutting and get down to like 155, but in for context, he's 6'2", 160. For like if he kept cutting, why are we cutting? He needs to, cut down and get lean enough to enter a lean building phase. But in order for him to get the physique I have, like, dude, we need to get to this body fat percentage and then increase calories, which we did. It took him 1,800 calories a day to get from here to here, and now we upped it to 2,100, and we'll monitor how his weight changes. So it's very also important, I didn't add that, it's very important to monitor your weight while you're monitoring your calories. You can track it all in MyFitnessPal if you don't have access to my app, which my clients get. It's very important to monitor your weight along with your calories to make sure your weight is optimal, and also just keep an eye on yourself in the mirror, take progress pictures, take videos of yourself posing in the gym after workouts, just so you can keep track of the muscle you're getting, and make sure you're not getting too fat. But otherwise, guys, I hope this video was helpful. Like I said, if you want to work with me one-on-one and you want me to build you a game plan, because you can go on my Instagram, it's at BetterLifestyle365, and you can just see dozens and dozens of happy people. Like, you can DM these people, they're all killing it, they're all super happy with it, with working with me. So other than that, guys, I love you. I hope this video was valuable. Like and subscribe to the video. It really helps with the algorithm. Follow me on Instagram. See my daily morning push-ups every single morning. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.